Hello, 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 and welcome to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today is the 2nd of March, 2026. Let's pull a Bitcoin here, and we'll do some analysis on Bitcoin. Let's get this link shared first. Go to Discord, go to X, and share the link for today's stream. Bitcoin did start to break out bullish, so I'm excited to be talking about what we're seeing in the markets because there is a lot of opportunity in crypto. Like I've been saying, that crypto is going to break bullish, that it looked really good. So now that I shared the link everywhere, let's pull up Bitcoin for starters, and we'll do some analysis on Bitcoin first. Then we can talk about the rest of crypto as a whole. So Bitcoin did break bullish. We broke bullish right up through this resistance here, which is a pretty key level. We have not yet broken above this resistance or this resistance here, but we did break above this one here, which is a very key level for Bitcoin. So this downward trending resistance we broke bullish through. We also broke bullish with increasing volume. So just how this was a really good sign that there was bullishness in the market because we had an increasing volume and price scenario right there. You can also see that we had another increase in price and volume scenario right here. So basically, Bitcoin is breaking out bullish up through resistance. You can see that Bitcoin is showing signs of strength, that this could easily be the bottom of a bigger pattern for Bitcoin. In other words, this could be a bottom formation here on Bitcoin. This was a false bottom here. We didn't break out bullish right here. We had a false bottom, but this one could easily be a true real bottom formation on Bitcoin, and that's a really good sign, and I think that's what we're going to see is more upside coming for Bitcoin in the near future. So basically watch for price to continue to break through, especially these resistance levels here, any of these ones like this one here, this one right here, or even this one right here. If we can get up through any of those with Bitcoin, then we're really going to start to see upside happen fast. Like we should see something like this happen. Or maybe something like this, right? Of course, there's corrections along the way. But Bitcoin should push right up through, no problem, up to these higher areas of liquidity. As long as we get through these areas of resistance, we should go right up to this area up here. No problem. So that's what I'm really looking for, is for us to continue to bottom here, for us to start to turn around and go like this, back up towards our major area of liquidity. Because fact of the matter is, Bitcoin, in the short term, like if you're just talking about Bitcoin from our peak over here at 126,000 per coin right here, Bitcoin is significantly undervalued. Like it is so, if you're talking about this correction right here or this correction right here, neither of those were nearly as deep, as brutal as this recent correction that we just saw in Bitcoin. So we're clearly extremely undervalued. So I do think what we're going to see here with Bitcoin is we're going to see a strong recovery. Just like what we saw after this, or even right here as well, but even more violently bullish because of how oversold we really are. I mean, if you look at the MACD here on the 3-day, the MACD tells you right away that we're clear down here at negative 7,000 on the MACD. So you're talking about being extremely just dirt cheap. Like we're so oversold. The last two corrections, we were negative 1,200, negative 2,700. So nowhere near were we negative 7,000 on the MACD. So you're talking about strong bullish recoveries but we were nowhere near as oversold as we are right now with Bitcoin. We are so oversold, it's ridiculous. So I think the correction, the subsequent recovery from the correction that we're going to see is going to be extremely bullish. Like, we're talking moonship, you know, just total recovery from these lows up. We're so oversold. So the other thing with Bitcoin too is that we have bullish divergence on the daily time frame. If you pull up the daily here and grab the trend line tool, you can see we have a big higher low on the MACD and a big lower low in price. So this right here is a huge bullish divergence signal on Bitcoin on the daily time frame that's telling us that we should see a recovery back up towards, for sure, this area of liquidity right here, where we have a whole bunch of liquidity in this area right here. But even more probable for Bitcoin is that we see a bigger recovery in price back up to some higher levels that we haven't been at for quite some time now. Now I see a lot of different scenarios that people are talking about, different ideas of what they think the price of Bitcoin is going to do when it comes to the market. Fact of the matter is, Bitcoin, really, as you guys know, Bitcoin can do whatever it wants to do. Like, the price of Bitcoin could go up, it could go down, it could go sideways, it could go whatever it wants to do. But there are certain guidelines, certain technical things that happen in markets that are so consistent that that's why technical analysis exists. That's why we have all of these awesome tools like trend lines and channels and MACDs and all of that, because there is enough of a consistency inside of the market that you can do analysis on it and you can get a pretty good idea of what could happen consistently enough that you're not gambling, you know, because that's the main thing you don't want to do, is gamble your money into this market and just throw it all away. But as you can see, the price of Bitcoin right now is worth 69,000 per coin, and we're very oversold from our previous peak up here. So it's extremely probable that Bitcoin sees a bullish reaction. It's not like a low probability. It's extremely probable that Bitcoin sees some type of bullish reaction up off of these lows. Yes, the market has its own nature to it. It can do what it wants to do. But statistically speaking, in terms of probabilities, Bitcoin is very, very, very likely to head back up towards this area of liquidity up here. You just don't get this oversold with bullish divergence, with extremely, fear and greed index as low as it was, without seeing some type of bullish response in the market. Of course, it's going to see a bullish response. It just had this big bearish move. The market has to shift from bull moves to bear moves to bull moves to bear moves to bull moves to bear moves. That's what it's doing over and over and over again. Going back across on Bitcoin, you can see whether you're talking about the big bulls and the big bears or the little bulls and the little bears, Bitcoin is consistently switching between a bull to a bear to 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 a bull. You can just see in the chart. So it's no surprise that after a big crash like this, when people are super uber bearish, they're all worried about World War III, everybody's freaking out, people are panic selling, extreme fear on the fear and greed index, and yet people just keep selling. Bitcoin has been oversold like since up over here. Bitcoin has been oversold really since it hit 80K right here. It's just stupid oversold now, so it's no shock that we're going to see a bullish response in the market after such a just totally bearish, people just totally losing touch with reality type of a bearish move, which is what we see with Bitcoin. So the market will shift back and forth between bullish and bearish, and that is super, super key to understand when you're looking at these markets, because it's super easy to get stuck in this idea that it's just going to keep dropping because it's been so painful and so red for so long that psychologically your brain starts to think this is going to last forever. Like we're going to have, it's like a long car drive or something. You start to wonder if it's ever going to end. And that's how the bear move feels. So just, you have to know that it will end. The bear will end and it will switch to a bull. And I think it's starting to right now as we speak, which is pretty exciting. Operation Shutdown, what is up? Thank you for tuning in. Rico Hawk, good day, Dallin, buddy. What is up, Rico? Thank you for tuning in. Tam says, hello, Dallin. Well, hello. Thank you for tuning in. And sure, I'll cover those coins for you, no problem. Basically, you guys, with Bitcoin is set up for a recovery. So you guys get the whole point with Bitcoin. I've been talking about it for like 20 minutes now, or 10 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes. Bitcoin is bullish. I'm expecting a recovery. It looks really good. It looks like it's finding its support. It looks like we will see more upside coming for Bitcoin. And for sure, a nice recovery in price. It's starting to show strength. Let's pull up Hex here. Hex is also doing well. We're up 8% in the last 24 hours. Starting to show the early signs of a potential reversal here. We obviously have to get up through our resistance here and right here as well. But if we can do that, this could easily be the bottom of the price here for Hex. Excuse me. So basically just watch for some type of a bullish reaction off of these lows. We've started to see a green candle come, then a red candle, a green candle, a red candle, a green candle. So we just need one of these green candles to stick and not get rejected. And same with Bitcoin too, right? Bitcoin, same kind of thing. Bitcoin's had green, red, green, red. We need one of these candles to stick, to just keep pushing through. And it looks like we're starting to. That's what it looks like with Bitcoin here as we break bullish out of this triangle. But that also could be true for Hex as well. You can see just boom, 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 just pump, reject, pump, reject, pump, reject. One of those pumps is going to stick and it will push up through. And when it does, just watch for resistance to be broken through. Like I said, these local resistance levels, and then watch for that type of a bullish move, because just how we saw a bearish move right here, the market's kind of like a bouncy ball. Like if you throw a bouncy ball down, it's going to bounce back up. If you throw a bouncy ball at the ceiling, it's going to come down. And that's exactly what happens in these markets. So Hex, if you look at Hex, zooming out here on Hex, you can see Hex is extremely, like if you were to think about where Hex is at in its cycle, using that bouncy ball analogy again, Hex is like at the very bottom. It's like on the floor. It just got thrown onto the floor. You can see the price of Hex up here was at 4 cents, and we're worth like 0.0016. So you're talking about like throwing a bouncy ball onto the ground and it being on the very ground, like it's touching the ground. And watch what happens when the bouncy ball bounces back up in the other direction, because it's going to totally move mountains. It's going to break through resistance. It's going to blow people away. That's what happens in these markets. That's why people are always totally astonished at how big the bull market is, because the bear markets are so scary and so brutal that people just don't expect a recovery to happen. You know, if you look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin totally just blasted right through resistance. If you look, it just boom, right up through. Came right up to this resistance, rejected, but then just blasted right up through. No problem. Like Bitcoin had no problem just totally breaking out bullish after this bear market was over. And if you look at Hex, you have to ask yourself, well, not only in the short term does it look like it's ready to bounce because it just totally has been selling off, but even in the big picture going all the way back to 2024 and even 2023 here as well, you can see the price of Hex is just at the very, very bottom of that correction. It's really ready to pump back up in the other direction and bounce just like how a bouncy ball would, but in a more profound sort of way, because it's actually going to be breaking out of this whole pattern and starting a whole new bullish trend up off of those lows. Just like what happened to, for example, NVIDIA. If you pull up NVIDIA, where NVIDIA broke bullish out of this sideways accumulation kind of thing that it was doing here for so long into a bigger, more profound, more just meaningful, sustainable uptrend. It just totally broke out. So Hex can do the same thing. It can break out up here and then just totally start this whole brand new uptrend that's bigger and more profound in a whole new range, a whole new price action all the way up to new all-time highs that it's just never been there before. We call that price discovery. And Hex can totally do that. Just like what happened, just as an example of an accumulation cycle that broke bullish. This is one on NVIDIA. And you can see the bullish pump that happened after we broke bullish out of that accumulation cycle was very profound. It was very, didn't mean to click on that. I just totally lost my chart. There we go. You can see it was very profound, right? Very, very bullish, very just huge new cycle. Totally deviated from the previous accumulation range and just totally broke out into a brand new, totally bullish cycle. So that's what I think could happen for Hex as well. Let's pull up Pulse Chain as well for you. This is Pulse Chain on Ethereum, so let's do WPLS. So basically, same thing for Pulse Chain as well, because there's different types of accumulation patterns. I've talked about this before, but it's really true. There's like falling wedges like this. This is like what Litecoin is doing. If you look at Litecoin versus Bitcoin, you can see Litecoin is in a big triangle falling wedge accumulation. If you look at Pulse Chain is also in a big falling wedge type accumulation. It's the same type of thing, right? Big triangle kind of accumulation like this, right? So that's one type of accumulation. There's also the more horizontal, like sideways type accumulation, which looks like this, right? And then it breaks bullish out into a brand new type of cycle that's bigger and better than the old cycle. So that's another type. In the case of Pulse Chain, we have the falling wedge type. Hex is a little bit more of this kind. Hex looks, it's going down, but it's less of the triangle type. There's a little bit of a falling wedge in the short term, but across the whole accumulation, Hex is a little bit more like this, right? But both of them are inside of a big picture accumulation, and when they break out of that, they're going to go into a whole new dimension of price. That's kind of like the microcosm and the macrocosm that we talked about with fractals, how there's the little triangles and the big triangles as well, and it's a fractal of the same shape. When you break out of a previous accumulation, it's like going from the little triangle into a big triangle. So you're in this whole bigger cycle that's in a whole new dimension. Essentially, you'd like go into a whole new price discovery, new range, new everything. And it's so big and so much bigger than the previous cycle that you almost can't even see the old one because of how much growth happens in the market in the new bigger cycle, right? And that's exactly what Litecoin originally did too, by the way. And this is what I think is coming for Pulse Chain and for Hex. But Litecoin, just as an example of what this has looked like historically, if you pull up Litecoin here, you can see Litecoin also really did the same thing. You have this little cycle right here, pump, pull back, and then you break out into this brand new cycle and completely dwarf the old cycle. So this is like the little triangle right here, and here's the big triangle, the big cycle that came as a result of that accumulation pattern that happened on Litecoin. So that's what I mean by going from a previous cycle into a bigger, more profound bull market. That's what happens is you go from these little fractals, these little cycles, these little accumulations into these bigger fractals, bigger cycles, bigger bull markets, and that's kind of how the market grows. And that's true for all markets across the board. So that's what I'm expecting for Pulse Chain. That's what I'm expecting for Hex, to break out into that bigger kind of a new dimension, a new price discovery, into a whole new cycle, a new fractal of the same type of cycle in a way usually, but it's a bigger version of it. In fact, XRP is a good example of that. So let's pull up XRP. If you look at XRP, let's pull it up on like Bitstamp. Bitstamp should have all the data. No, it does not. Let's pull it up on Poloniex, maybe? There we go. XRP, it did a bigger fractal, and there's a little fractal as well, but the bigger fractal is actually just a copy-paste of the little one. So that's what I mean by doing like the same thing, but a bigger version of it. When it goes from the little cycle to the big cycle. If you look right here, let's pull up XRP with the bars pattern tool here and copy this right here. See this little cycle that I just copied? This little, you remember how I was comparing them to triangles? This little cycle, imagine this being the little triangle, the little fractal. And then right here, you have the big fractal of the same thing. So I just took that little one, and if I place it on top, you can see it's the same thing happening all over again. Here's that little one all stretched out, all big, but it's just a bigger version. This right here is the same thing as that little one right there. It's just a bigger version of it. So that's what I mean by going out into a whole new cycle, a big new, but it usually does the same pattern that it previously did, but it's a bigger version of the same pattern, and it will lead to the same type of market behavior, but it's just a bigger version of that same fractal geometry, the same pattern. So that's what I think will happen as well for Pulse Chain and for Hex, is they'll break out into a bigger kind of pattern, and then eventually they should come back around and correct and pull back kind of in the same way that we're doing right now, but in a bigger version as well. That's just how the market grows and expands. Appreciate you for continuing the grind. Well, thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in to today's little live stream. Dallin, don't want to jinx it, but great call. Still the only one bullish. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but it does look pretty bullish right now, so I think I will be right. I'll be the first to tell you that there's times where I've totally made bad calls before. But in this case, this looks like a really good reversal for Bitcoin, and I think we will continue to see bullish price action here. Up through this resistance, we've already started to break through this level. If we continue to push up through, we could easily get up to this level We'll see how high we go. We'll see if it sticks. I believe it will. I'm a firm believer that we will see a big reversal on Bitcoin, and it could be all the way back up. This could be the bottom of the bear market. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but it could be. At the very least, I think we will for sure get back up to this liquidity area. For me, see, for me, the way I look at it, I'm super bullish on crypto as a whole, like everything. It all looks so bullish to me. It's just ridiculous how bullish it looks. So I'm not really ready to just like be calling for big bearish moves. And when I think about like across the board, when I think about altcoins and I think about, like whatever altcoin it is, it really doesn't even matter. Like you could ask me Cardano. Some of you guys hate Cardano. Some of you guys love Cardano. Whether you love Cardano or you hate Cardano, this thing is so stupidly undervalued. It's just ridiculous. Like, let's pull up Cardano on Binance. If you look at the cycle here for Cardano, like our previous old all-time high was back here in 2021, we're worth 28 cents per token. So this thing is so just stupid undervalued. So when I think about, am I going to be right? Will the market go up? Well, probably. It probably will, because most stuff is ready to see a big bullish type of reaction, whether it's an altcoin that you like or whether it's Bitcoin or whatever it is. So it's very probable that we will see some type of bullish move on a lot of these altcoins, and it should be pretty big. So yeah, I think we will see a full recovery, and I think this is the bottom of the bear market based on what I see. But obviously, I could be wrong or whatever, but I really think that we will continue to see a bullish move here. Usually during times like this where people are either so stupid bullish or like way too bearish, usually I get kind of blunt with people and I'll tell people like, hey, you guys are actually being like retarded. Like, this is so dumb to be bearish right now. You guys should not be so bearish on the markets. You should definitely be looking at this market in terms of what type of a bullish move will happen. And that's really how I feel right now. I just want to tell people, like, you guys, if you're being bearish right now, like, you're so out of touch with reality. Like, we are so oversold on every single altcoin in the big picture. Bitcoin is stupid undervalued in the big picture, in the short term as well. It's just like, how could you be bearish? How could you be, it looks so good. How could you guys be bearish right now? That's just kind of how I feel, but whatever. Hold on, I'll be right back, all right? I'm going to get some water. All right. Hi, Dallin. Can you please overlay oil with Bitcoin? Analysts are saying oil is going to skyrocket. Doesn't Bitcoin follow oil, but it's delayed? Sure. Thank you for the donation. Let's pull up oil and Bitcoin here and do a little comparison on the two and see which one kind of looks more bullish, how they react to each other, what's going on with Bitcoin and oil. And by the way, you guys, I'm a big bull on oil. I know some people, they think oil and they think, oh, it's over. We have electric vehicles and stuff. You guys, do you even realize how many products oil has? It's like thousands of products, like your iPhone, like everything that you use every single day is made out of oil. Not to mention the fact that it takes a long freaking time for new technologies to fully be to where we're not using the old one at all. Like people still use record players, they still use, like letters to send letters to each other. It's not common, it's very low statistics, but it's still, people still do it. So this whole idea that electric vehicles have just taken over is ridiculous. And I love electric vehicles. My friend has a Cybertruck, and it's pretty freaking awesome to drive, I'm not gonna lie. But a huge portion of our industry, all of our cranes, all the stuff to build buildings, everything, like oil is so freaking central to humanity, it's stupid. So for people that are bearish on oil or think oil is, you guys, oil is not bearish. It looks so good. It literally reminds me of Bitcoin in 2016 before Bitcoin just totally just went to the moon. And I know that kind of, people don't want to hear that because the price of gas will go up a lot as well, but that's just the truth. So let's pull up Bitcoin overlapping with oil to kind of see the connections here. Bitcoin, crypto, Bitcoin right here. Let's throw it on the logarithmic scale so we can see the big picture on Bitcoin here, going all the way back to 2010, and let's also go back to 2010 on oil, and we'll line up the charts so that they look as similar as possible, and then we'll do some analysis here. $2010 is right here. 2010 is right here. So let's see the connection between oil and Bitcoin. So in the big picture, so like right here, if you look, this is the COVID drop right here. You can see both Bitcoin and oil both saw a pretty big drop during COVID. Now Bitcoin is just stupid bullish. You can see that it just totally held its value way better than oil did. Over, since 2010, Bitcoin has just totally been in this super profound bull market, whereas oil has had this bigger correction. But you have to understand, crypto cycles are way faster than oil cycles. So just because oil is down since 2010 doesn't mean that oil is somehow going to underperform Bitcoin for the rest of time. In terms of percentage gain, it probably will. But they'll probably both go up together in a pretty profound sort of way at some point. And also you can see oil went up really hard during COVID, and Bitcoin did too. Now in terms of what's happened recently, the price of oil has gone down since 2022. But if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin has gone up since 2022. So now there's a bit of a cross correlation, but it probably won't stick. So you can see how oil went down right here and Bitcoin went up right here. So there's a cross correlation, but it probably will not last forever. My assumption and what I would see coming here for oil, based on technical analysis, oil is actually breaking out of a wedge right now, but it's actually breaking out of a bigger wedge as well. So you can see oil did a triangle, a falling wedge triangle right here, going all the way back to 2008. And you can see we broke bullish out of that triangle. We obviously had this crazy flash crash where oil went negative because of just stupid stuff on futures exchanges and stuff. But technically speaking, it basically just had a big correction right here, right, with a big falling wedge. We broke bullish out of that falling wedge, and then we came into another falling wedge. So actually, oil is breaking out bullish. Oil is set up to break out to a new all-time high. I believe oil in the next 5 years will easily be at a new all-time high. We're talking back over above $144 per barrel pretty easily. Now, mind you, I was also saying the same thing about silver when silver hit $12 per ounce during the COVID drop in March of 2020, because of a very similar fractal, similar psychology, market cycle and everything. So what I believe will happen is that both oil and Bitcoin will actually start going up together, because oil is breaking bullish out of this wedge right here, super bullish looking. Bitcoin also is in this powerful uptrend that's really ready to keep seeing more upside, more higher highs and more higher lows. And so really Bitcoin is set up for more continuation, for a push higher, and same with oil as well. And actually, if you look, something I want to show you that's kind of cool, if we pull up silver, let's just pull up silver. Let's pull up silver where we have the full chart here, and I'll show you what I was looking at with silver. Silver cycle was pretty similar to the oil cycle, actually, in a lot of ways. If you look right here, here's silver's bull market and bear market. And then the recovery that came after, as you guys know, the full-blown just push all the way up to a new all-time high. If you look at oil, oil is set up just, buying oil right now, like if you were to go buy a bunch of oil on futures, it's pretty much the exact same thing as picking up a bunch of silver right here at $22 per ounce before silver fully recovered. We're talking about silver breaking out all the way to a new all-time high above this level. So buying oil right now is really the same exact thing. Like there's no difference. If you guys were to go buy a bunch of oil futures, you're set up for a large percentage gain on the upside, like a lot of growth. So that's my view on oil. That's my view on the connection between Bitcoin and oil. They'll probably go back to being correlated rather than cross-correlated, and they'll both increase together, because you can see that when you look at the charts, they were shifting between cross-correlated to correlated to cross-correlated. So there was times where they were following each other and times where they were diverging each other. So that would be my assumption with Bitcoin and oil, is that they're going to start following each other rather than diverging each other. In other words, they're going to skyrocket together. Your buddy Donovan, good. He hasn't uploaded for a while. I like his optimistic energy. And your partner streams. Yeah, I haven't talked to him for a while. No, he hasn't been uploading or anything like that. I talked to him a little bit, but we haven't talked for like a few weeks or so now. Yeah, I hope he gets feeling better, starts uploading again, gets, doing okay and everything. We kind of had... Anyways, it's a long story. Basically, I haven't seen him upload either. I don't know a lot of what's going on, what he's up to. He's probably just doing his own thing. So, Tam Hexagon says, I appreciate you, Dallin. Love your streams. Well, thank you. Conscious Contact says, the Dal. Oh man, that's so funny. My cousin Gavin, when I was younger, my cousin Gavin would always call me Dallin or Dal, because my name is Dallin, and so he'd always just totally that was my nickname, was Dal. So it's funny when other people call me Dal, because that's the only nickname I've ever really truly had. Monday surprise stream. Awesome. Smash those likes. Well, thank you, Matt Osti, for taking some time to tune into today's live stream. Fanta, what's up, Dallin? I've been trying to reach you about your car's warranty. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. New crypto paradigm. Hello, Dallin. Doge. If you have some time, thank you. Sure, I'll happily do Dogecoin. So let's pull up good old Dogecoin versus the dollar here. And let's pull it up on Binance, because even though Coinbase has more volume, or at least the volume generally looks better on Coinbase, Binance has a little bit more data. So we're going to use Binance. Now, where do you think Dogecoin is at in terms of its cycle? Like if you were to just look at look at silver over here on the right and look at Dogecoin over here on the left, what would you think? Like what's your first? Is Dogecoin up here in euphoria right now? Is Dogecoin down here in depression? Is Dogecoin right here in disbelief? Where is Dogecoin at? What point of the cycle is Dogecoin? And if you ask me, it's a pretty simple answer. Dogecoin is clearly in the disbelief phase of its cycle. If you look, here's euphoria right here. Here's disbelief. Here's depression right here. It's the same point of the cycle that silver was at right here. That's where it's at in its cycle. It's clearly at this point in the cycle called disbelief. So what do I think Dogecoin is about to do? I believe Dogecoin, without a doubt in my mind, I believe Dogecoin will see a big parabolic run up to a new all-time high, just like what happened to silver. Just like what happened to Bitcoin when Bitcoin bottomed out in 2020 and 2018 as well. But if you go back and look right here, in 2018 and 2020, Bitcoin did the same pattern right here, same type of correction. So this right here was the disbelief phase on Bitcoin right here. Down here, it's the disbelief phase on Dogecoin as well. It's the same point in the cycle, same point that silver was at before silver pumped, same point that Bitcoin was at in March of 2020. That's where Dogecoin is at right now. That's where it's at. It's in the disbelief phase of the cycle. So what is it going to do? Well, what happened to Bitcoin? Look at what happened to that. Like the price just totally from the disbelief point up to the old all-time high before obviously our new all-time high over here at 126 for this old one. From this point up to that point, big parabolic run, just huge. So what could Doge do? Doge could do the exact same thing. It's set up in the same way. Buying Dogecoin right now is like exactly like buying Bitcoin down here at $3,800 per coin before Bitcoin pumped all the way to 69,000. So imagine Dogecoin pumping all the way up to here, up above its old all-time high, up into a new all-time high, up into a new area of liquidity, up into a new paradigm, new euphoria phase of the cycle. So in other words, Dogecoin is getting ready to go from disbelief right here to a new euphoria phase. Another big parabolic run up like what happened right here, but it's just going to happen over here. It's going to go up into a new euphoria phase. And that's what's coming for Dogecoin. And it's super exciting. It's going to be so profitable. Can we do baby Doge? Sure. Let's pull up good old baby Doge. Baby Dogecoin. Let's pull it up on charts.cointrader.pro. This is kind of a cool website, this charts.cointrader.pro, because it basically lets you do analysis on coins, pulling the data from CoinMarketCap. So it's like using TradingView plus CoinMarketCap together. And you can get this, all of the historical data on here. And it's basically like having TradingView Pro for free. So charts.cointrader.pro is a pretty useful little website where you can do analysis on stuff without needing TradingView Pro. But the main reason I use it, because I have TradingView Pro, is because it gives you all of the data. So if you're looking on TradingView and all you can find is this website, or not website, this, website, OKX, is a website. It's an exchange that you can trade baby Dogecoin on, and if you can only find baby Dogecoin on one of those exchanges and there isn't a lot of historical data, then going over to charts.cointrader.pro and pulling from CoinMarketCap as a website rather than pulling from OKX. Well, CoinMarketCap pulls from all of the different platforms put together, so you're able to get all of the historical data going all the way back to the earliest times, whereas here on TradingView, you just don't get that. Plus, this is connected to TradingView, so it's basically like using it anyways. So if you look right here, baby Dogecoin, man, this thing has just been a pump and dump over and over. I mean, that's all it's been doing is just this pump and dump. One thing I would do, first thing I'd do, is take this, where is it here? Time cycle tool and find the bottoms. So if you click on the bottom here and then go to the bottom of this cycle, maybe something like this, you can start to get an idea of the time cycles for baby Dogecoin, and it looks like baby Dogecoin is pumping and dumping relatively close to this sort of pattern here. There's obviously kind of a miss right here, but for the most part it's following this time cycle. So we're at a point now where it should come up for a pump. So that's the first thing, is finding time cycles here. The other thing as well with baby Dogecoin is baby Dogecoin is in one of those big accumulations. So just like how Hex is in a big accumulation, just like how Pulse Chain is in a big accumulation, here baby Dogecoin is also in a big accumulation as well. Oops, let's go back to it. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go to 3-day. So yeah, baby Dogecoin is in a big accumulation going all the way back here to 2021 basically. So this is a big accumulation pattern. Some people would see this and they just go, oh, this is so bearish, it's never going to pump. I see this and I go, do you guys realize that this has been going sideways since 2021? Not to mention the fact that we have this big increase in volume right here. So clearly big institutions started coming in, or at least somebody with a lot of money. Whoever it was, right? It doesn't have to be a big institution. Somebody's coming in here, buying a bunch of baby Dogecoin. You can see all the volume. So this is clearly at the end of a big accumulation like this. And it should come up and pump like that. Like it really should. I know it seems crazy, but it really should. If you pull up BSV, let's pull up Bitcoin SV, just as an example of one of these accumulations. Let's pull up BSV here. Let's pull up BSV on CoinMarketCap. Let's see here. Give me just a second, you guys. Let's go to, is it on KuCoin still? Probably not. It got delisted on a whole bunch of places. Let's just pull it up here on charts.cointrader because we'll have all the data. Just an example of one of these accumulations. I know people hate BSV, people hate Bitcoin Cash. Some people are like, oh, I love Bitcoin Cash, I love Bitcoin. Or there's all these arguments about what, whether Bitcoin SV or Bitcoin Cash is the greatest. Fact of the matter is, I really don't care. I'm just looking at these charts. Like, I'm going to tell you what I think based on the chart. And BSV is one of those big accumulations. Like, that's what it is. Bitcoin SV is accumulation like this. So I know it seems crazy at the bottom of these big drops like this, where over multiple years, where the price just looks so stupidly undervalued, and it just, but it looks kind of dead at the same time. I know it seems crazy, but this is what an accumulation pattern is. And this is what you want to look for, because really, when the market falls off a cliff like this and people have given up on it, that's where the best time to buy is. And going back over to baby Doge, I'm just trying to show you guys, the reason I bring up BSV here, I'm trying to show you guys as many of these accumulation patterns as I possibly can, so you can get an idea of what all of the different shapes and sizes that they come in, so that when you're looking at these charts in the big picture, you see, oh, this is clearly that accumulation, or that's this accumulation, or this looks kind of like this one. So yeah, baby Dogecoin, I know people see this and they think totally dead. Or they see something like BSV and they think totally dead. You know, Craig writes, proven not to be Satoshi, totally dead. And I agree with you, we don't have any proof that he is Satoshi or that he isn't. We don't really have any full proof. But people will buy the dumbest things. Like, let's say that Bitcoin SV is just pumps really hard this cycle, okay? Let's just say that it does. I'm not saying it's going to. People will buy stuff. They'll buy the dumbest things, even if it's not even really made by the creator of Bitcoin. Like if say Craig Wright is not the creator of Bitcoin, people will buy it just because it's a novelty, or it's faster, or whatever. So yeah, I tell people all the time, buy the bottom of these big accumulations, even on stuff that seems stupid, even on stuff that seems dead, you know, like Baby Doge or Bitcoin SV, or people would probably say the same thing about Hex or Pulse Chain. Just go buy those things that are stupid undervalued, that look dead, and they could even be stuff that people think is just totally just a dumb project. But a lot of times they'll pump, because I'm telling you right now, that's the same thing that they were saying about Dogecoin. Back here in 2020, before Dogecoin pumped all the way to a new all-time high, Dogecoin was considered total trash. It was like the memest, just worthless. People thought Doge was so stupid. And then all of a sudden it pumped all the way to a new all-time high. It just goes to show you guys, people, if there's demand for something, if there's a community behind something, people will buy it. And I don't care if it's baby Dogecoin or Dogecoin or Hex or Bitcoin SV or Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin. When people are euphoric about crypto and they're excited about crypto, which is what's coming, they're going to buy everything. That's just how it is. That's how 2021 was. That's how 2017 was. Anytime that we're in a euphoria phase in crypto, like anytime Bitcoin dominance is dropping off a cliff, like it did right here or right here, anytime we're in one of those euphoria phases, everything pumps. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the stupidest coin ever. It could be a total meme coin that has no utility at all, but because of the nature of the phase that we're at in the cycle, it just totally pumps. So last time the Doge was let out, the Baha men were popular. Well, fact of the matter is that the Dogecoin is set up for a big pump again. Crypto set up for a big pump again. It's all set up for a big pump. So whoever shills it, it could be Elon Musk again, it could be it could be Donald Trump starts doubling down on how much he talks about crypto. It could be a whole bunch of different things. But whoever shills crypto, yeah, they're going to send it to the moon. It happens every time. Somebody starts talking about it that has a lot of influence, and then all of a sudden the price goes crazy. And a lot of times people, you have to remember that people they'll wait to buy when that happens, but usually when that happens, yeah, it will pump a little bit more, but it's not going to just keep pumping, like it's too late. So you want to get in now when people aren't all talking about it, when there isn't a whole bunch of people shilling crypto. There's a little bit, but not like crazy, not like 2017 or 2021. You want to get in now, because when everything does pump crazy, yeah, people will be shilling it, but it won't last forever. At that point, it will pump a little bit more, and then it will top out, and the whole cycle will be done with, and it will be over, you know, and it will be too late. But fact of the matter is, people, yeah, they're not really shilling it right now. So they will. So you want to buy before the shill, so that when the shill comes, you're up crazy profitable. Can you take a look at shit coin. Sure. I will. Let's pull it up here. Let's see here on TradingView. Oh, man. Maybe on Dex Screener is what you're talking about. Let's pull it up over here. Well, there's this one right here that has 29,000 in volume, so this is probably what you're talking about. You know, this doesn't look too bad. It looks like it could go up a little bit higher, but the thing is with these pump and dumps where they're up a whole bunch of percentage in 24 hours is they always dump. Like if it's up, like if you're here on Dex Screener and if you look at something and it's up 300% in 24 hours, it's going to dump. Like it will. It's going to dump. It's going to go to zero. It's going to get totally rug pulled. That's what happens on Dex Screener. Dex Screener is rug pull mania. If you want to save yourself from a lot of headache, unless you have a really good setup, don't buy anything that's up a whole bunch in the past 24 hours on Dex Screener. Just don't. You're going to lose your money if you do. That's what's going to happen. It's going to go to zero. It's going to get rug pulled. So let's go back over to that coin. I thought it was up pretty high on the past 24 hours. So it should be here, but I guess I'll just type it in instead. So that's what's going to happen to this coin too. It's going to dump. It could be the top already. This could be a big double top right here. First top right here, second top. This could turn into a big double top and just go to zero. But anything that's up like, 86% in 24 hours, most of the time it's going to dump. Sometimes you will get something that goes up to like, all of a sudden it's up 600% in the past 24 hours. And all of a sudden, it went from being up 84% up 600% and it just kept pumping and but what are the odds that you're going to be the person that buys the one coin that doesn't just totally dump and it just keeps pumping for like another day or two and then it dumps? Because everything on here dumps. Here on Dex Screener, unless it's like a bigger project that has a bigger accumulation pattern with a lot more volume over a bigger period of time, that kind of stuff, yeah, it's listed on Dex Screener, those kinds of things, yeah, they'll pump for sure. But for the most part, if it's on Dex Screener, it's a pump and dump. Like it's just totally going to dump for the most part. So just be careful. And I don't know, I think I'm covering the right coin, but just be careful. Anything on Dex Screener sucks. The yellow symbol, this one looks bad too. This is just a big dump. There's no volume here at all. Let's see if we can find. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Let's check it out here. I mean, it's got a fitting name. Like I guess this doesn't look too bad. And this one is more undervalued than the other one that I was looking at, but there's like no liquidity, like no volume. There's $3 in trading volume. Like this is dead. Like volume could come in. It does. And I know I tell people all the time, buy dead coins that look like they're dead. But there has to be at least some type of community. There has to be some type of volume. There has to be some type of reason to buy it still. You don't want to just buy something that just because it looks dead. This one looks dead and it doesn't have a community and it doesn't look good and it doesn't look like it's going to pump, and I wouldn't probably want to put a lot of money into this. So I would just totally not buy that. Yeah, I am looking at the yellow symbol now. The yellow. Let's see here. SHIT. Yeah, whatever one I look at, both of them look pretty bad. I wouldn't buy it. It wouldn't be like, oh man, I want to just go put a bunch of money in that because it's going to make me rich. No, if I was thinking in terms of, oh, I want to buy something that I know for a fact is going to pump, that I could just put money in and it's going to get me rich, I would buy Dogecoin. Or I would buy, like, AVAX, or I would buy just something, like something that's obvious and easy. But not this coin. I wouldn't buy that. Please take a look at Toshi. Sure, we can pull up Toshi. Toshi is also another example of one of those big kind of accumulations. So here's an accumulation here with Toshi. We have a pump, pullback, pump and dump. So you can see it's making this kind of a accumulation structure here, right? That's what it's doing. This right here is an accumulation, just like what is happening on a lot of these coins. So what we should see here is, because we're at the bottom of this channel, right here, we're at the very bottom, we should see a bullish reaction up off of those lows, like this. And we should start to head up towards this resistance and then up towards this one, and we should push up through, because this is basically just a big accumulation. That's what it is. It's the same thing that a whole bunch of coins are doing. Like, you could be looking at a whole bunch of altcoins. I could go down a list, a coin after coin after coin, and they're all just doing these big accumulations, whether it's a triangle pattern like this, or whether it's more of a horizontal like what we see here with Toshi. That's what all of them are doing. And they're set up, what they're going to do, a whole bunch of them are going to do this, right? They're in their accumulations, they're going to break out, and they're going to go parabolic, and they're going to move up to new all-time highs, right up through, and just totally blow people away. That's what's going to happen on these coins. That's what's going to happen with Toshi. That's what's going to happen with AVAX. That's what's going to happen with Hex, with Pulse Chain. That's what's coming for crypto. So just be watching for the breakout. Be watching for higher highs, higher lows. Any uptrend has to, when an uptrend starts, it has to start with a higher high, higher low pattern. That's what an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. So when you're looking at these coins, start looking for the first higher high and higher low. Breaking bullish out of these accumulation patterns, they will break super bullish and they will be very vertical, but it has to start somewhere. It has to make a higher high and a higher low somewhere. That's what a lot of them are going to start doing, is that first higher high and higher low inside of a bigger uptrend. And that's what's coming for Toshi. I'm fully confident that it will see a bull market, just in the same way. Same with WIF. People think, oh, WIF, dead meme coin. They think of Dogwifhat, dead. No way it's going to recover. Done for. Totally, totally dead. That's what people think. But if you understand Elliott wave principle and you understand market cycles, you see something like Dogwifhat and you go, yeah, people think this is a total crap meme coin with no value. But if you look at this thing, this is actually a big expanded flat correction. That's what Dogwifhat is. And if you look, there's a big ABC down right here. So there's our first ABC down, then an ABC up. Then you get 5 waves down. It's exactly what you need in an expanded flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we can just turn this into sub-micro waves right here. Micro, this one right here as well. Micro, and this one right here as well. So you can see Dogwifhat is actually in a big expanded flat correction. That's what it did. Here's wave A, B, and C. So this is at the bottom of a cycle where literally not only do we have bullish divergence going all the way back to August of 2024, but this is also at the bottom of a cycle. This was the peak up here, and this is the bottom down here. So you're talking about a coin that people think is dead, that people have given up on, that's a meme coin. Just like Toshi, just like Dogecoin, just like whatever it is. But in the case of Dogwifhat, we are talking about a meme coin very undervalued at the very bottom of its cycle. So when this thing turns around and starts to go up like this, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be very parabolic. Same with Toshi, same with Dogecoin. And I know this is hard for people to believe. When I talk about this, I already know. There's going to be a whole bunch of people out there that think, Dallin, why are you bullish on Dogwifhat or Hex or BSV, or even some people think Ethereum is a trash coin. You know, they think Ethereum sucks. Why am I bullish? Because I've seen this stuff for long enough to know what happens. I know what happens when stuff is undervalued and we're at the bottom of the cycle, and when stuff is overvalued and we're at the top of the cycle. And right now we're at the bottom of the cycle. This is at the very bottom of a cycle. And I've seen stuff. I saw Dogecoin recover. I saw coin after coin after coin that people thought were totally dead, that they thought that had no real value, that they thought were worthless, trash, just totally dead coins. And they recover all the way to a new all-time high. So I'm not going to ignore what I've seen historically happen. I'm going to tell people, yeah, this is what I honestly believe with all of my heart, all of my being, everything that is in me, that this is really, truly going to happen. That we're really going to pump on a whole bunch of coins. So yeah, that's why I'm here like almost every day, or as often as I can, doing these live streams, making YouTube videos, telling people don't listen to all of the idiots out there that are telling you that crypto is dead. Because we're at the bottom of a cycle. And when this thing turns around and pumps and goes parabolic and goes vertical like it did in 2017 and like it did in 2021, people are going to be totally blown away. Totally blown away. That's how they're going to respond to it. But because of the fact that most people listen to the wrong people, they think it's all dead. And they have a hard time believing that something like Dogwifhat could pump. But they don't understand human psychology, because fact of the matter is, what moves markets is human psychology. We're talking about people. This is what moves markets. Even with the world of artificial intelligence, humans move markets because of human emotion. You know what AIs do? The algorithms, they're all programmed to short the 618 level. So if you're measuring from a peak high to a peak low, all of the trading bots and the algorithms, they're programmed to short the 618, or in a bull market, to go long on the 618. That's all they do. When it comes to big picture cycles, when it comes to the big picture human emotion, the overvaluation and devaluation of certain asset classes, that is human emotion. That's why it's actually so predictable. That's why you can measure something like the NASDAQ, like this, and you can look at the human emotion on the NASDAQ, and then you can go look at the human emotion on Bitcoin, and then you can go look at the human emotion on silver, and you realize, holy cow, human psychology moves markets. That is the fundamental underlying principle that moves markets, is human psychology. That is why 90% of people lose money, because of human psychology. Because fact of the matter is, people are heavily dependent on crowd psychology. That's what we do. We follow the crowds. And because we are based on crowd psychology, and very few people know how to break free from the matrix and stop following the 90% of people in the crowds, because of that, yeah, 90% of people lose money in the market. Yeah, 90% of people buy right here and sell right here. But guess what? It doesn't take a genius to be in the 10% of people that buy the dip. It doesn't. It doesn't take a genius at all. You just have to have the right information and knowledge and have an understanding of crowd psychology. And then you can be that person that doesn't follow the 90%. But because 90% of people live in total ignorance, in other words, 90% of people are not self-educated, 90% of people are not learning, they're not growing, They're not reading books. They're not expanding as a person in any way whatsoever. Because 90% of people are totally ignorant, fact of the matter is, for the rest of pretty much forever, people are always going to be falling for it. There's never going to be a point in time where, oh, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people know about the market cycle and now they're just going to stop falling for it. No, the market grows into proportion of the ignorance in the market. So in other words, you get an expansion in the market, but that expansion includes a whole bunch of more dumb money, a whole bunch of stupid investors that have no idea what they're doing, that buy tops and sell bottoms. And so literally I could sit here all day long and tell as many people as humanly possible that 90% of people lose money in the market and it's because they're following the crowds. But guess what? Because the market grows in proportion, all of the new money is uneducated and ignorant of that truth, it wouldn't matter. The market can keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. There's always going to be people that have no idea what they're doing. There's always going to be people that are in that 90% of people that are just following the crowds. So you're always going to be able to do opposite of the crowd, and you're always going to be able to make money. It's not going to change, you know. So, anyways, buy the dip, people. That's my message for today, is to buy the freaking dip. That's what I've been trying to tell people. If you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is breaking out. It's pulling back a little bit, but I think it's going to keep breaking out. You know, we could pull back a little bit like this. I don't know. And it could fail. But I think it's way more likely that we do this, that we actually break out bullish on Bitcoin and start to turn around here. And it's not just Bitcoin, even the total crypto market cap. Looking good. It's looking undervalued. It's looking like it could be curling around here and ready for a true bottom instead of the big false bottom that we got up here. So it looks like we should see some type of a move like this back up towards liquidity, because this is where the liquidity is at. In fact, if you pull up the chart here and you just look at the chart, all of the major liquidity, if you look at the old all-time highs over here, this peak right here, this peak, or this drop right here, this peak right here, you can see how much liquidity there is based on the areas where the market has seen major reactions. So where the market pivots like this, see that? That's an area of liquidity. This is an area of liquidity. This is an area of liquidity right here. This is liquidity right here. This is liquidity. So you can see there's a lot of liquidity up here on Bitcoin, on the total crypto market cap in this case. You can see there's a lot of liquidity. So we should go back up to that area of liquidity at the very least. But I think we're going to start to fully recover. If you look at those big picture cycles, like with Dogecoin, like with AVAX, like with all those different setups, they truly, truly look like they're really ready to just break out into a new all-time high and go for a big run, similar to like what happened in 2021 or 2017. So I think we're going to get not only a recovery on the total crypto market cap back up to our area of liquidity, but also up to even a new all-time high. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. Brother Boldly Official Music TV says, thank you. Well, thank you, my friend, for tuning into today's live stream. And I hope you guys found it valuable and informative as well. But yeah, you guys get the point. Buy the dip on the total crypto market cap. Get ready for big things to come in this market. Get ready for a 2017, 2021 like pump for crypto. That's what I think is going to happen. Something like this. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, uptrends, they continue. Like if you study markets, if you learn this stuff, like really go learn it and not just think that you know. Like uptrends continue. Like these, you know, if you go look at the Dow Jones, let's pull up the Dow Jones and go look at what happened after the bottom of the Great Depression right here. It actually kind of reminds me of the crypto market cap in a lot of ways. Like if you look at it, it's actually pretty similar. Here's the Dow Jones on the right. Here's the Great Depression. Here's a 2017, 2018 crypto bubble. You can see the similarities. Markets do have big corrections. If you look, that's a pretty big drop. That's a pretty big drop. That's a pretty big drop. But they continue up. They continue their trend up higher. And the people that lose are the people that forget this. The people that lose money are the people that forget that this is what markets do. They expand, they grow, they continue to grow over time, and especially in the big picture. But if you're looking at the total crypto market cap, that's exactly where we're at. In the big picture is we're in a dip, just like right here. Same thing with the total crypto market cap. We're in a local bottom inside of a big picture uptrend that has a lot more higher highs and higher lows left in it before it's done doing what it's doing, before it's done growing. I also like to use the Apple comparison because to me, Apple's such a transformative, revolutionary technology, home computing, totally changed the world. And then crypto, totally set up to change the world. So I like to look at the Apple cycle as well, where you see this first cycle on Apple during the internet bubble and of course, 2008. Same kind of thing, right? The market's going to expand, going to break out, make these big pumps, but it's also going to have these big corrections along the way. But they're short-lived, and if you remember that the market's going to keep going higher, you can make a lot of money on the growth that the market does over time, which is really what I'm trying to get drilled in people's minds. Because the biggest thing that I see with crypto, I'll be honest with you guys, the biggest thing that I see, the biggest mistake people are making in crypto is they're thinking about this too short term. They're thinking about this in just terms of get rich. And crypto is a place where you can get rich quick. It is true. But the fact of the matter is you guys got to be thinking about this, that crypto is growing over the long term, that this is a revolutionary technology like home computing, like the internet, that's going to keep becoming a bigger thing. Because if you have that type of mindset, then you don't get lost in the sauce. The people that really get screwed up in these markets are the people that get lost in the sauce and they sell during the corrections. But if you're thinking in terms of the big picture, in terms of what's really coming for crypto, that's the biggest mistake I see people make, is they're not thinking like that, and then they forget that this is the kind of stuff that can happen in markets. If you look at Apple on the right, totally just insane. If you think about what Apple has done in terms of the price of Apple's share, like crazy per share, the crazy pump on Apple. I love Apple. Apple is dope. I've got a MacBook. I got to get the screen fixed because I left a pencil in my laptop like that, and I went to shut it and I didn't realize, and it just cracked totally across the bottom of my MacBook that I bought in 2020. So I got to get it fixed because I had it for a couple of years and then broke it. But yeah, you guys, essentially what I'm trying to get at, markets can grow in a very profound way, in a big picture sort of expansive way. I want you guys to be thinking big picture, not small-minded, not tomorrow, not in terms of what's going to happen tomorrow. It's good, I do want you guys to be in the moment, present to the moment, but thinking in terms of long-term, big picture, sustainable, the whole scope, the whole picture. That's how I want you guys to think, because that's how you guys are going to make the most money in crypto, because realistically, crypto is set up to grow in a very profound way. That's what it's set up to do. And if you have that sort of mindset, you're going to end up with a lot of profit in the crypto markets in the coming years. And it's also just good to think like that in general. It's good to think in terms of big picture, long-term sustainability. How will this affect my kids? How will this affect my kids' kids? And if you can kind of think like that, then really you're thinking like how wealthy people think, because wealthy people care about their future. Wealthy people care about their kids' futures. Wealthy people care about a lot more than just money, you know. With that being said, crypto is set up to make you a lot of money. Like, you guys can make a lot of money on this pump. I really, really believe that. So it's going to be fun. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to call it a day, and I'm an hour and 20 minutes in. Although I will say, doing these streams is so fun. It just makes me want to just go forever. I could sit here and stream till like 4 p.m. probably and still just have fun talking about all this stuff. So anyways, I appreciate you. I love you. I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos, in future live streams. And as always, stay profitable out there.